next meal is coming from, yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it.
Call to order the Long Hill Township Board of Education reorganization regular board meeting, public meeting, January 5th, 2023, located at the Long Hill Township Municipal Building. At this time, we'd like to have our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting of the Long Hill Township Board of Education was given as required by the Open Public Meeting Act as follows. Notice was sent to the Echo Sentinel and the Daily Record on September 21st, 2021. Notice was also posted on the bulletin board in the first floor entrance hall of the School District Administration Building, Gillette, New Jersey. Notices were filed with the Township Clerk, and notices were mailed to all persons who have requested individual notice pursuant to the Open Public Meeting Act. In the annual election held on November 8, 2022, the following individuals were elected to serve on the Board of Education for 3-year terms. Ann Butler, congratulations. Karen Nyquist, congratulations. And Matt DiGiorgio, congratulations. At this time, we would like to individually swear in the 3 new members of the 3 members to the board. So I'll come, you could stand where you are, I'll bring the Bible up with the oath, and we'll do it individually.
I, Karen Nyquist, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and this state under the authority of the people, so help me God. I, Karen Nyquist, do solemnly swear that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of member of a Board of Education, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of that office according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Congratulations.
What number is this now?
8.
Wow.
Wow.
That's incredible.
You just passed me.
That really is.
Okay, thank you.
That is incredible.
I, Ann Butler, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to governments established in the United States and this state under the authority of the people, so help me God.
Yes.
Okay. I, Ann Butler, do solemnly swear that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of the member of Board of Education, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of that office according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Last but not least.
I, Matthew DiGiorgio, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established by the United States and this state under the authority of the people, so help me God. I, Matthew DiGiorgio, do solemnly swear that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of member of the Board of Education, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties that the office accordingly to the best of my abilities, so help me God. Thank you.
I just want to say, I like this way so much better than the way we did it. We used to do it where we kind of all say it together.
And you would say your name.
I
and
state your
your
name.
Yeah, it'd be like, I, Karen, you know.
This is so much nicer.
Except the oath does look like, it looks like it's written twice. It has different things in it, but as you're reading it, you know,
Let's duplicate it.
it's duplicated.
So thank you.
You're very welcome. Well, congratulations, welcome for another 3 years. At this time, I'd like to open the floor for motions for the election of Board President of the Long Hill Township Board of Education. Melissa?
For the board president, I move for Kim Case.
Second,
You have a photo finish?
Katie's mine.
All right. Kim, any second, do you accept the nomination?
Yes.
Are there any other motions for the board president? There being none, we'll do a roll call for Kim Case for president of the Long Hill Township Board of Education. Ms. Butler?
Yes.
Mr. DeJamos?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. DeGiorgio?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Ms. Ruvalo?
Yes.
Ms. Case?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Okay, so then we are going to move on to the election of board vice president. Do we have any nominations? Katie?
I nominate Ann Butler.
Second?
Second.
You could take
Any
it.
other
All right.
nominations? Any other nominations? And do you accept the nomination?
I do. Thank you.
We could do a roll call.
Yes. Mrs. Butler?
I vote for myself?
Yeah,
Sure.
very good.
I would.
Mr. DeJamos?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. DeGiorgio?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Ms. Ruvalo?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes. Well, if we have nothing else better for 20, we're doing better than the House. So let's go.
Exactly.
Any communications? I do not have any. Do you have any?
I do not.
Okay.
I'm sorry, do we need a nomination to close or I'm sorry, motion to close? Or is that already part of the?
We had the motion.
Okay,
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep,
Sorry.
we're good.
We're on page 4.
Trying to follow.
4, second bullet down.
Okay. And we can start with board committee and liaison reports then. So Karen.
Okay, liaison first. Morris County Ed Services Commission. I was not able to attend the December 14th meeting, but I did get an update. They had a financial report. They had no recommendations, just like us. The only thing that was identified is that they do have a continuing reduction in enrollment. So what they had to do, they were planning, and I got from this update that they had to increase their tuition about 10%. Wow. Literally 10%. January meeting, which is going to be next Wednesday, is where they vote for the member townships of the Board of Trustees. So that'll take place, like I said, on Monday. One of the things that they undertook before in this course, several of the ESCs from the state had a meeting to try to come together and discuss how they can work better and more cooperatively with each other. talk about new services that, some of the new services were quite interesting. For instance, Passaic ESC is offering technology support services. Camden ESC is offering consulting services for public relations, assisting in referendums and issues. They have also successfully launched a preschool grant consulting service to assist districts with source management, et cetera. I just thought that was very interesting and something we might want to look into. In terms of governance, we obviously didn't have a meeting yet for January. In December, we finalized our transition report, finalized the goals. Basically, want to maintain 100% participation in the evaluation and the self-evaluation and the superintendent's evaluation. We want to look at our attendance at the New Jersey School Boards Association meetings. We want to maintain our training status so that we can keep up our, maintain our training so we can keep up our master certification status. In terms of policy, you could see it on the, it's on the agenda. There was one item that was brought up by Tom regarding the org chart, and I don't think it was corrected. I mean, we didn't send out a correction of it, right?
No.
Okay, so we're going to be adding a dotted line from the elements of the section that includes the lawyer and the architect, et cetera, and show a dotted line that goes to the superintendent. Now, we can pass it with that revision, or we can revise it, send it out, and vote on it next time. So whichever the board would like to do at the time. In terms of the superintendent search, as of like 5:30 this afternoon, we had 21 applicants. It's a combination of superintendents, acting superintendents, principals, business administrators. In the larger districts, there's a director of curriculum. So we have a myriad of, resumes and things to go through. The group is going to meet on Tuesday, and what we're going to do is, in the initial setup that we have of the resumes, we're going to divide them and start our initial review, so that come the end, when the application period is over, we're really ready to start. We only have to look at the incremental number, so we can get the ball rolling much faster. And that's about it.
Okay, any questions for Karen? Danielle?
I don't have a report.
Okay, Ann?
The Student Curriculum and Achievement Committee did not meet since our last meeting, but our December meeting was prior to our December board meeting. I did want to say, though, that in our last committee meeting, and then I had updated at the December meeting, we had discussed several intervention strategies the district had decided on to address the data that had come from the state testing. And so number 60 in today's agenda is one of those interventions that I had updated you at the last meeting, the tutor intervention sessions that will be 2 hours a week in January through March. So that's number 60. I had the pleasure of attending the Watchung Hills Regional High School Board meeting this week on January 3rd. There was an interesting conversation that I think pertains to us potentially in the future. They're looking at changing their start time, which is currently 7:20, to later in the morning. And in their discussion, they acknowledged that one of the issues in doing so would result in changing their busing routes, because their buses would be moved back to accommodate the later time. And for sending districts such as ourselves who do triple-tiered routes with the high school, that would present some considerations for us if they in turn make that decision. So they said, obviously some of the options they thought might be available to sending districts or to themselves, they could separate out their busing and not tier with the sending districts, and then I guess we would look at double tiering ourselves. Or there's possibilities so the complication of it is we're a K-8 and then a 9-12. If in districts that have done this, like Chatham has recently done this, they're a K-9, K-12, sorry, pre-K-12, and they're able to kind of make the decisions within themselves. But so if they made a decision to switch their elementary school time earlier and move their high school time later, they can work it out themselves with their buses. And another thing they were saying is that their bus routes are longer than some other towns. If your bus routes are only 15 minutes long, it's not as much of an issue, but our bus routes tend to be much longer. So it may bring us to a point in time where we have to discuss if they're changing their time, what does that mean for our busing? Do we want to look at those ideas for ourselves? I will say that the decision at the meeting was simply to look into hiring a busing consultation, so that they could come in and give them some ideas, and they were going to look with the consultation to get ideas on if they did the busing on their own, or if they did the busing with a different tiered system with the sending districts. So it's something to keep an eye on. Yeah.
They have always said that it should be reversed, in terms of starting times.
Well, they did discuss that. I mean, it was a very thorough conversation that younger children, particularly those early elementary school children, are up earlier. And in my experience, when my own children were young, they were up at like 6 a.m. And so getting them out of bed and out to school earlier is not as much of an issue. But the issue is it's difficult to have a bus pickup time at 7 o'clock for a young child when it's the nighttime hours. You know what I mean? We have daylight savings, particularly those winter months. So, and there were even conversations about that, like maybe we only do the switch. They were saying, oh, if we do the switch with daylight savings, it's interesting how daylight savings complicates it. So people can't have their young children waiting out at a bus stop in the dark by themselves. I mean, that raises the question, I don't know how many people leave their children at the bus stop by themselves, or do they still wait with them? But I mean, it's just lots of considerations. But yes, 7:20 is very early for a high school student, and Central starts later, and because 7:20 wouldn't be great for Central students either. But we'll just put it out there as a conversation that's happening. We'll keep an eye on it. I think they're probably in contact with us as well, and I hope it didn't catch Dan by too much of a surprise, but I know you talk with them frequently. In other news, the PTO, very quick but very important, the food day order is due January 10th. The window is open right now. That is for February, March. So please just pay attention to that. The window for that order closes on January 10th. Also on January 10th, the Habitat Heroes Education Program, which is from the Center for Aquatic Sciences, is visiting the 5th grade science classes. January 11th is the PTO January General Meeting at 7 o'clock in the Millington Media Center. And then this is another important one. So prior to COVID, the PTO used to do what we called a buzz book. And the buzz book was a hard copy of people who had opted in to provide their contact information. And when you join the PTO, you would get a buzz book. It's really convenient, particularly when your child comes home, they've made a new friend. They want to have, I don't know that new friend's parents' phone number, so it does help facilitate. They have moved that online, and it's through Membership Toolkit. Parents need to log on to Genesis in the parent portal and then answer a pop-up question that you as a parent are allowed to say, yes, I want to share my contact information, no, I do not. And then once the contact information is shared for the PTO online directory, the access is restricted only to members, and it is not available to the general public. And I believe, because I answered the question myself, there's more information online as you're doing so.
How much is a membership?
It used to be $5.
It was 10.
I thought it was 10.
Was it
But
10?
it's 10.
It's been a while. I'm sure she'll. The president of the PTO often watches our meetings, so she may text me and I'll update later.
I can,
Is it 10?
just because they're kind of interrelated, Membership Toolkit, if your child is in force, does the after-school programs, it is the same website. However, there's it's the same company, it's the same host. But you can have a Membership Toolkit membership for PTO, and you can have one for force. And the nice thing is, it's just a toggle between the two accounts. So you're not, you can actually log in once and you can have both memberships. And you can there's already a directory for force, but now you can have the directory for the entire school district of people. It's really good. And if you're familiar with the membership toolkit from Force, it's very intuitive, it's very user-friendly, and you can pay online, which is delightful, instead of having to write checks and things. So it should be a very good experience.
And you're going to find out how we non-school moms get onto that.
Yeah. Well, my memory was incorrect. It was $10, and yeah, she already texted me. So, We'll ask about, non,
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you, Ann. Matt?
Excuse me. So the finance team met on December 21st. Thank you for showing up and helping out, Kim. Robin and Moira also attended. And so this one's all about Robin. He's doing a great job. And if you guys remember, our interest rate used to be 0.01, and it moved up to 0.5, and now it's up to 1.25. 1%, yes. So 0.01, or 1%. Yes, percent. So now we're at 1.25. So it's like, I'm good at math, but I can't even do that calculation. It's a lot higher, percentage-wise. But in addition to that, we're also starting to put some money into some short-term CDs to help continue to boost our interest rates. So that, in conjunction with just a regular bank account going up to 1.25%. And then, what else? So then, on top of that, there is a New Jersey ARM participation. And this is just another tool that the business office has come to utilize. And it's going to move approximately $4 million of cash that we have into this program. And that's going to further utilize CDs, but it's going to utilize short-term CDs. So you put your money, CDs to me are always 2, 4, 5, 6 years. These could be 3 or 6 month CDs. So you put some money in there, it sits for a CD, you don't, and for 3 months you don't use it, you get a much better interest rate, and then it rolls out. And then more money rolls in, more money rolls out. So you're constantly moving money in and out, just to get a better interest rate. And that's going to help boost our overall interest between $65,000 and $100,000.
Yeah, we're thinking,
Roughly,
our
I
goal
mean,
is to get 100K.
Get 100K. And what was it last year? Do you remember?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that alone is,
It's
not that you can count on it, but that's another teacher. But that's not something you can count out. It's not something we can book, rely on for future monies. But it's a help buffer. Now we have more money, now we can buy something else. We can buy some more books.
Is this kind of, does this help combat the crazy interest rates a little bit? You know, like inflation.
I think it just helps us as another revenue source that we could have when we're doing our budget, our expenses equal revenue. Now we have an additional 100K of revenue, so if our health benefits go up 12%, transportation goes up 8%, we have a little buffer that we could use interest income to offset those increases.
Yeah, so it's not direct offset.
Yeah.
Offset.
Yeah.
But every penny helps, and I know we're always looking for additional revenue streams, and this now is a revenue stream.
Right.
So, great job. We're also going to be entering the ACES renewal. It's for gas and electric. This is a co-op purchase agreement for utilities. And then this program automatically will switch our utility to a better rate if there happens to be one. I mean, we've all gotten those letters from PSE&G, switch over to this company or switch over to that company, and you get a better rate. And that does happen from time to time. So this system will automatically do that for us. We don't have to do anything. So just when a better rate is out there, our utilities will automatically get that rate and push on if there's another one going on after that. We spoke about the ROD grant submissions in the past. They're going to be available soon, sometime in January. It's a first-time, first-served basis, and our business office is already on top of it, working with the architects. Our proposals, I believe, are ready to go as soon as that button is
Well, we have
pushed
to approve
open.
the resolutions tonight.
Correct.
and
So
It's a
that-
money grab. The architect get $3,500 per application. So now we have to try to, what was taking the time is how to package everything so you're not paying $3,500 multiple amount of times to try to get HVAC under one umbrella. And it's a little tougher than we thought, but every application we put through is $3,500, which is
Even if we
really,
did 5 and it cost us 15 grand, you get one.
yeah,
it's
you're gonna
more
pay
than
for it, but it
tenfold.
just,
Maybe.
as anything, you're paying money for an unknown, so hopefully we could get in the hopper.
Exactly. And then lastly, the budget is currently on course. Business Office continues to work with the administration to create a budget cooperatively, and we're on,
along.
of course, going to the schedule.
Perfect.
The schedule being, like, when, are we gonna be looking at a preliminary or something?
I mean,
It's already
I'd
been
say
put out.
we're probably not, by Monday, I'd say we'll be at the finish line.
Okay.
We're gonna look out, we're about 100,000 over cap now. We're gonna look at it, we're gonna bring it home this weekend, independently look at it to find where we have some extra dollars and try to come down to what we think is a thorough and efficient budget that can provide everything for our administrators. Meet again with our admin team to make sure they know what we're doing, how we're spending some of the grant money again, and then probably at our next finance meeting have preliminary budget 1 for our colleagues.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you.
Any other questions for Matt? Okay, Tom?
Yes, thank you. I had the pleasure to hear from now Deputy Mayor Guy Pacercia, and he wishes everyone a Happy New Year and the best for this year. He, as you may or may not know, is now the liaison to the Board of Ed from the Township Committee, and he looks forward to an open dialogue between the Township Committee and the Board of Ed, and is also hoping for a joint noticed public meeting sometime during the year where we can get together and speak about all the things that go on in the town and in the school district. And that's what I've got for tonight.
Do we know who's our new mayor?
Lavender.
Oh,
Scott?
okay.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Okay, any questions, any other questions for Tom? Okay, thank you, Tom. Alex?
No report. Buildings and Grounds needs to re-up its schedule, and we haven't met since December 2nd, I think was the last meeting.
Okay. Melissa?
No report?
All right, Katie?
Nothing to report.
All right, okey-dokey. Thank you, guys. Our interim superintendent's report, welcome to Dr. Rotarf in her official capacity here.
Thank you.
Again.
Yeah, thank you. Finishing day 3. So it's been wonderful to be back. I don't really have very much to comment on this evening's agenda, obviously with reorganization and your regular business. It's a voluminous agenda, but nothing really that stands out aside from the items that some of the board members have already mentioned. It really has been wonderful to come back, and I'm so grateful to the board for providing me the honor of once again leading the district. It is my favorite school district in the world.
Ours too.
And I've been to a few. So thank you, and it's been nice, visiting the schools this week and getting a chance to see kids and teachers, and so thank you again. I appreciate it.
May I comment? Dr. Rotar, thank you for sitting in on so many meetings in the month or months prior to you taking on this daunting role. And you're up to speed, and we thank you very much.
It was very helpful to me, so thank you for allowing me to be part of those meetings.
And you did it for free.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, it was a good investment on my part.
Okay, interim business administrator's
Sure.
report?
Good evening. Our reorg motions, so everyone knows, they're all the same vendors, so we're not out there changing attorneys, architects. They're the same vendors that we've had here for years. No, nothing has really changed. Thing was negotiating price. On our regular agenda, we have our bills and claims for December and through January, our financials for November. As Matt had stated, our energy bid renewal through ACES, acceptance of our 2023 grants, the ROD grants, the $3,500 per project. One good thing is that New Jersey ARM, which is sponsored through the state, 7-day yield, 7 days, 4.26.
Whoa.
So for every million is 42,600. If you do 3, it's $120,000. We're looking at 100,000 because we don't know what our liquidity would be. So that's a good thing, and it goes up 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, 150 days. Nice thing about this, in your joint account, your daily liquidity is a 2 o'clock cutoff. So if you're doing something, and you know when your bills are on your payroll, but if you miscalculate it, you have up until 2 o'clock to move money. And it's really a good thing. And the insurance, the FDIC is 30 times the amount of a regular bank. A lot of school districts use this, so it's a really good thing we're doing. The only thing we have to do is on motion 44 tonight, so we can invest tomorrow. they want it, clearly identify who can invest. So we'll just add in Dan Borgo, interim business administrator, Robin Bomer, assistant BA, into that motion, because we have to give them a certified copy of the minutes tomorrow, so we could therefore invest. So we'd like to get that done sooner rather than later. So if you read the minutes next meeting, that'll be reflective of the item I just stated.
Should it say your name or just say the title?
It'll say our name with the title.
It doesn't in the motion.
No, that's,
We
we'd
have
have,
to
you have
add-
to add.
we need to
We have to
add
modify
that in.
that, yes. That's the modification.
Do we
And-
need to do a motion to modify?
Well, once we get to the finance, I would say modify as presented by the BA, interim BA. And also, you'll have at the ethics form in front of you, once we get it approved, we can in fact sign that. And then you also have the other form in front of you,
Governance,
the governance pledge, which I gave you just a signature page, and then I have a blank, complete copy for everyone, so you know exactly what you're signing, so we shouldn't have an issue. And at the end of the meeting, I'll just come around and collect them. Looking forward to working with Dr. Rovtar, so looking forward to a great year in '23, so thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Dan? No? Okay, any comments from the public? Okay. So we have the first item on the agenda is around School Board Recognition Month. That happens in January of every year here in New Jersey, and I think just to get us started, we should read this out loud, especially for our viewers at home. So I'm gonna have Anne read this out.
School Board Recognition Month. Whereas the New Jersey School Boards Association has declared January 2023 to be School Board Recognition Month, a time when all residents can acknowledge the contributions made by our local school board members. And whereas the Long Hill Township Board of Education is one of 580 local school boards in New Jersey, which sets policies and oversees operations for public schools districts. And whereas the Long Hill Township Board of Education embraces the goal of high-quality education for all New Jersey public school students. And whereas New Jersey's local school boards helps determine the educational goals for approximately 1.4 million children in pre-kindergarten through 12th grade. And whereas New Jersey's 5,000 local school board members who receive no remuneration for their services acts as advocates for public school students as they work with administrators, teachers, and parents for the betterment of public education. And whereas school boards strive to provide the resources necessary to meet the needs of all students, including those with special needs. And whereas the Board of Education provides accountability to the public, they communicate the needs of the school district to the public, and they convey to school administrators the public's expectations for the schools. And whereas New Jersey can take pride in its schools, which rank among the nation's best in key achievement indicators, such as the National Assessment of Educational Progress Scores and the preparation for college through advanced placement offerings and SAT assessments, now therefore be it resolved that the Long Hill Township Board of Education does hereby recognize the services of local school board members throughout New Jersey as we join community statewide in observing January 2023 as School Board Recognition Month, and be it further resolved that the Long Hill Township Board of Education urges all New Jersey citizens to work with their local boards of education and public school staff towards the advancement of our children's education.
Thank you. And now just a motion to accept this recognition.
Second. Isn't that a-
So moved, I guess.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's fine, okay. Roll call?
Yeah. Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mr. DeJamos?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. DeGiorgio?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Ms. Ruvalo?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes. Karen, will you move in resolutions, reorganization items number 2 through 34?
So moved.
Second?
Bless you.
No, I mean, it's just a large number,
Uh,
except we want to read
Yes.
34.
Yes, so, before we do a roll call, we have a motion, we have a second. We're gonna read through, number 34, which is the adoption of the New Jersey School Boards Association Board Member Code of Ethics. I'm gonna call out, we're gonna all go through it, so I'll just start off. Resolved that the Long Hill Township Board of Education adopts and agrees to abide by the New Jersey School Boards Association Board Member Code of Ethics as set forth in NJSA 18A:12-24.1. So Code of Ethics, letter A, Karen, will you read that?
I will uphold and enforce all laws, rules, and regulations of the State Board of Education and court orders pertaining to schools. Desired changes shall be brought about only through legal and ethical procedures.
Thank you. Danielle B.
I will make decisions in terms of the educational welfare of children and will seek to develop and maintain public schools that meet the individual needs of all children, regardless of their ability, race, creed, sex, or social standing.
And C.
I will confine my board action to policymaking, planning, and appraisal, and I will help frame policies and plans only after the board has consulted those who will be affected by them.
Matt D.
I will carry out my responsibility not to administer the schools, but together with my fellow board members, to see that they are well-run.
Tom E.
I will recognize that authority rests with the Board of Education and will make no personal promises nor take any private action that may compromise the board.
Alex F.
F, I will refuse to surrender my independent judgment to special interest or partisan political groups, or to use the schools for personal gain or for the gain of friends.
Melissa G.
I will hold confidential all matters pertaining to the schools which, if disclosed, would needlessly injure individuals or the schools. In all other matters, I will provide accurate information and, in concert with my fellow board members, interpret to the staff the aspirations of the community for its school.
Katie H.
I will vote to appoint the best qualified personnel available after consideration of the recommendation of the Chief Administrative Officer.
I'll do these. I will support and protect school personnel in proper performance of their duties. I will refer all complaints to the Chief Administrative Officer and will act on the complaints at public meetings only after failure of an administrative solution. So roll call.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mr. DeJamos?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. DeGiorgio?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Ms. Rivolo?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes. Thank you, everybody. Resolutions, regular order of business minutes, number 35. Danielle, will you move that in?
So moved.
Second.
Questions? Roll call?
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mr. DeJamos?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. DeGiorgio?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Ms. Rivolo?
Abstain?
Mrs. Case?
Yes. Okay, financials. And will you move in items 36 through 47, with 44 being amended to include Dan and Robin's names?
Perfect.
So moved.
Second?
Questions? Roll call?
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mr. DeJamos?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. DeGiorgio?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes, but abstain from 41.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes, but abstain from 36.
Ms. Rivolo?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes. Special services number 48 through 51. Matt, will you move that in?
So moved.
Second.
Nope, it's okay. Go for it.
Any questions? Okay, roll call?
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mr. DeJamos?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. DeGiorgio?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Ms. Rivolo?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes. Tom, will you move in personnel numbers 52 through 60?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call?
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mr. DeJamos?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. DeGiorgio?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes, but abstain from 50.
Ms. Rivolo?
Yes. but
Ms.
absta-
Nyquist?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
I needed to abstain,
Okay.
abstain from just 60.
60. So Ms.
And it's
McLennan, 50, Ms. Rivolo,
Oh, wait, we're
60.
going all the way to 60?
Were we
No.
at?
No.
No, oh, did I? I'm sorry.
yeah,
Oh,
60.
yeah, that's personnel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
60.
I do need
No,
to,
60 is policy.
No, 60 is personnel.
No,
Personnel.
I would listen to the chair.
Okay.
Read it.
Okay.
So can we pause? We have to go back to Katie, to Melissa. Go back to
Okay.
Melissa.
Okay, Melissa, what would you like to abstain from?
60.
Okay. Any
Katie.
others?
My bad.
I need to abstain from 54 and 59 as well.
Got it. And 52 or not?
I didn't think.
54 and 59.
50, 54, and 59.
Got it. All righty.
Okay.
All good.
Just have multiple, I guess, revisions of this one, so we're
Yes.
okay. Alex, will you move in curriculum number 61?
So moved.
Second?
Any questions?
I have a quick question, I think. I was just curious in terms of the cost for each of the field trips, does that include the busing? Or are these virtual field trips? I was just curious.
They usually include the bus.
Right.
Oh,
Yes,
Oh,
and they are in-person field trips. The
Yes.
Okay.
Students are actually going to these.
To this place, okay. Thank you.
Good questions? Okay. Roll call.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mr. DeJamos?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. DeGiorgio?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes, but I have to abstain. Actually, no, I have to abstain because it's just the
All
one.
right, so you're abstaining.
Yes,
I'm a
same-
problem child today.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Ms. Ruvalo?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes. Melissa, we move in policy number 62 and 63.
Yes, except, so moved, except with the revision as expressed by Ms. Nyquist regarding number 63, to include that revision.
Okay.
Second.
Any questions? Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mr. DeJamos?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. DeGiorgio?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Ms. Ruvalo?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes. Other, number 64. Katie, will you move that in?
So moved?
Second.
Any questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Once again, I question the need for the code of governance and the pledge, considering at our last meeting, we discussed policy procedures, meeting procedures, policy number 9325. We just swore to uphold the code of ethics from the New Jersey School Board Association, and we also pledged to follow Robert's Rules of Order. There is really no reason to do this other than to just check off a governance box in my mind. So, if somebody could tell me that there's another good reason as to why we would need another level of restriction on ourselves, or however you want to look at it, I'd like to know.
Well, it's not really a restriction. I think it's just, when I looked at it, and when this is the way I interpret it, it really tells us how we operate. So why not put it in writing? And one thing that I really like is that not very many members of the public will actually, maybe now they look at the agenda and they see the code of ethics, okay, fine. And they see the words Robert Rules of Order, but they don't know what that means. This kind of puts together, like I said, in one place, a member of the public can look and see that we really do have a process in how we operate. We do have rules that guide how we operate. And there are principles of how we operate and how we deal with each other. And it just puts it in a very nice place. And very honestly, I don't think it's more than acknowledging anything the way than we do operate. So I actually consider it a positive thing and not just like an extra. It's positive in the sense of identifying to the public how the group that they've elected operate, and they should know that, and the rules that guide them. That's it.
Any other questions? No? Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mr. DeJamos?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. DeGiorgio?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
No.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Ms. Ruvalo?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes. Okay, and I think you guys have a signature page for Dan on
Yep,
that.
yep. And the ethics to pick up at the end.
Okay. Any items for discussion, old business, unfinished business?
Yes. Pardon. At last meeting, we spoke about possibly getting the attorney to speak with us for training classes. I don't know if anything's been done about that, or is it still being contemplated?
That was on my list to ask Charlene what was the next steps for that, because I don't think it makes, I think it's more of like a school board's training situation than it is to have an attorney come and just talk about everything related to education law.
Well, they could talk about the new updates for the year. I know
I
that
think
that's.
school board would have it better. They would have like more of a, I think, a polished presentation on it, like what's to look for in 2023, or like what did we like really figure out in 2022. So I have that is on my list. I'm gonna ask her.
I'm taking that
can I-
because the Watchung Regional High School does do that. Their attorney comes in and speaks to them. So that's where I got the idea from.
Okay.
It's not my idea.
Okay.
I think that's.
It is now.
Yeah, I own it.
Just as an FYI, there is a presentation available,
Online?
online of like a lot of the cases that went before the, ethics committee, so that would be another
Okay.
good resource. They talked about it in my training.
I usually attend the school law forums or annual trainings, so if there's a summary of cases that, you know, anyone wants to brush up on them, I might have those materials available.
Okay. It's coming up, isn't it?
There's usually a spring and a fall.
Yeah.
And the fall one was not held as customary
Okay.
after the school board convention.
Okay.
I think there's been change in the leadership that organizes it, so, you know, they may no longer follow the same fall, spring schedule. I'll get back to you guys and Tom specifically as to when those are being conducted.
Okey-dokey.
There's different, you know, we have the different levels of mandatory training.
Right.
So I know mine now have a governance 4, which is all legal updates.
Yeah.
Is mandatory for the first year of whatever term you're in. But we must have gotten it today. I think I got it today, you know, when they announced at least one of them. And the New Jersey School Boards
Yeah.
comes out with their virtual listing of all of the mandatory training that comes.
So I also just took governance 4, which is on the legal update.
Okay.
But that's like a
Yeah.
2-hour seminar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the one that I was speaking of was the legal update or the legal conference
Okay.
for continuing legal educations, which is probably a more thorough and robust, like, day-long training.
Okay. Oh,
So,
yeah.
You know, I have some materials
Where
if
you
you'd
legal
like,
thing.
just to organize.
What's interesting is governance 4, it is every year of a new term if you're past your 4th year. So you have governance 1, 2, and 3 in your first years. I just remember my 4th year when I took it, I was like, oh, I kind of think it should be earlier. It was a good one. So if you're not at your 4th year, then you're not in governance 4 yet.
Correct.
But then, if that makes sense, Karen, then every year after you've hit year 4, so some people don't have access to it. I don't know if they.
No, but during the governance 4 training, they
Yes,
actually
but
said
I'm saying-
that there is this other
Oh,
presentation
good,
available.
good. That's what I was asking. If you're not, if you don't have access to governance 4, because you're
pressing
not
down.
in governance 4, would you be able to get it? Yeah. Gotcha.
Okay. All right. I'll check with Charlene.
And on training, respect to training, I wanted to mention that in February meeting, we're gonna start at 6 o'clock, and Charlene will be doing our 6:30, no, 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, our ethics training.
Okay. Ugh, all right. Sorry, I just know I have jury duty, I think.
It's gonna be a day.
Oh, okay. Any new business? Okay, tell.
The Karen go first.
No, I just wanted to bring something up. I mean, I know we're gonna go through the thing about where we identify for you the committees that we would like to work on. And I just wanna mention the All Schools Council. It's, something that I used to do for like a number of years, and Matt caught it last year, and, well, P.S., I think it's been definitely over 5 years since the All School Council was called. And it used to be when an issue came up in the school, a school, like Millington or Central, et cetera. They had a representative from each school, and then there would be the board and the superintendent. We'd sit down and kind of like see how we can handle the problem. Things are done differently now. I don't know if we need to keep the All Schools Council on as a committee, and it's something that ad hoc, depending on what comes up, you can just pull together some people. But keeping it as an official assignment for somebody, I don't think is necessary.
Okay.
And we're gonna, we decided that it would be, maybe it'd be better for the New Jersey School Boards Association if we rotate membership, attendance, I should say, at the meetings. The meetings are virtual too. Can either go in person or be virtual. So it would be easy, less difficult to to attend
You're saying for Morris County?
for the Morris
Yeah.
County, New Jersey School Board's meetings.
Yes, okay, yeah. Okay. Tom, did you have something?
I do. This agenda for tonight's meeting came out 2 weeks ago, which was great, and it was mostly complete with some edits along the way. I've asked in the past, but I'll ask again because we have a new superintendent, albeit interim, and I was hoping that previously we've been getting it Friday afternoon before a Monday meeting, which is one business day. I was hoping to add a day or two to that beforehand, even if it's just the bulk of it, like policies or just the bulk of the reading that we need to do. Finance might not be ready till Friday afternoon, and that's fine. That, you know, we could chunk it down into pieces starting a little earlier. It's impossible, but this agenda coming 2 weeks earlier tells me that most of it is possible. If you'd like to comment on that.
All I would say is that, you know, I think the reorganization agenda is a little bit different. It's much more standardized. While we did have a portion of the agenda which was regular business, such as the policies. I think the holiday calendar, I think, facilitated us getting that information out a little bit earlier. Committee meetings were finalized a little bit earlier in the month. I don't know that it's always possible to get, you know, I think particularly in a situation when the board only meets once a month, we want to make sure that we get all of those action items on the agenda. You know, in a situation where a board is meeting twice a month, it's like, oh, well, we missed this agenda, but the board's meeting again in 2 weeks, so it's really not a big deal. But when you only meet once a month, you want to make sure that the agenda is as comprehensive as it can be. I would say maybe what we could look at is if, for example, policy, the committee has finalized their deliberations and the policies are ready, because that's really a lot of where the reading comes from. If those things could go a little bit earlier, I think that might be possible. But I would hesitate to cut the agenda very much earlier than what the current practice is.
Dr. Rostar, to your point about the policies, one thing we've implemented in recent years is that the committees share the agenda with the entire board prior to the meeting, and then the minutes with the board after the meeting. So I would assume that if you were looking at a policy that was going on the agenda, that would be in the committee minutes and the agenda. No, is that not how, I mean, I've never been on policy.
You give the number,
Yes.
Right, but you don't get the
but we
full
don't-
policy.
but we don't attach the policy.
But if I wanted to, as a board member, reach out to you and ask you about
Yes.
that,
Right.
I would have the information prior to the board meeting. I would have it when you had your meeting. Like, because you send out your agenda, so I would know
Right.
you're working on that policy.
That is
And if I
correct.
want to follow up on you, I'm saying the committees are already notifying us earlier
Right.
than the agenda.
Right.
So if we're doing our committee work properly and we're sharing, I think that adds in a layer of notification for members so that we're not caught off guard. Oh, I didn't know that was being discussed at a board meeting, but we
Yep.
actually put it in a step earlier. Oh, that's being discussed at a committee meeting. I think it's a nice step of communication we added in.
And to your point, Ann, a lot of policies don't change. It's
Yes,
only a few
yes.
that do.
And-
And those are the ones you want to say, okay, what are you suggesting that we, I don't like to vote without knowing what we're voting on. So what is it that you suggest we change? And also on that point is it was agreed to last year that we would do red line for changes. So that when the policies do come and hit our inboxes
Yeah.
on a Friday afternoon,
You see that.
you can
yeah.
quickly see, okay, oh, you're changing the it to a the, okay, no big deal. Or if you're changing it substantially, then you could say, okay, this is something I need to read further.
But,
I'm sorry, wait, Melissa.
oh,
When there is a policy with a substantive change, we do send out the red line. The last one was, frankly, I think it was at the last meeting, was really the most substantive change policy. To send out red lines for some grammatical errors, or, because I'm the one preparing the red lines, trust me, it's not easy, because I'm not the holder of all the Word documents where all these policies are. And then, you know, we're doing at a minimum of 8 policies per meeting to keep up with the every 3 years. But we have assured everyone at a previous meeting that when there is a substantive change, we will absolutely send out the red line draft. If you don't get a red line draft, it's because it's grammatical, it's spelling, something like that.
Yeah, to my point about the committee agendas, I think that, and it is difficult as a board member, but when a committee you're not a member of sends out an agenda, it does behoove you to look through it and say, is there something on there that I do, want to reach out to the committee chair and share something with? And I think that we need to start as a full board, just making sure that we look over those agenda items and we take the time before the committee meeting, because that's where the work is being done. I feel like if that, if you have some comment that you feel is valuable to the committee work, the best time to get that is prior to the committee meeting, to the committee chair. So that's why I like that we added that process in.
Okay. Any other new business?
I do have a question.
Yes.
Do we have any information on the search for, and I'm sorry, Dan, but I know your time is limited, and Mr. Persina's time. Have we started that search? Are we anywhere on that search?
This is the superintendent's role,
I
so
w- I
we're
would
a
say
little bit in
no
a
at this
quasi
point in
area.
time.
I know it is.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't want to be caught at the end. I know that Mark has to leave us before Dan does, correct? Is that right?
Because we had extra time.
Right. And I just wouldn't want to be caught late, so
Thank
perhaps
you.
it's a reminder.
Yes, thank you. Any comments from the public?
Yes, it is.
Okie dokie. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
8:25.
Okay, good.
We just
I
pass
want to
these
stay
down, or-
forever.
get this?
I'm gonna leave them here.
So